Hello and welcome to Colleague 7 Sprint Plan for 19.08.02. This will cover the work undertaken between the 6th of August to the 19th of August. Our sprint goal for this sprint has been to continue implementing the background service required to extract reporting statistics from MailChimp. Looking at the high-level items and to explain further, in this sprint, we've been able to complete the work on the background service, which extracts the reporting statistics held against a MailChimp account on an ongoing basis. These statistics are then imported into Colleague against the associated records using various history types for full activity tracking. This includes the addition of notifications to advise users in the event of an unsubscription. We've been investigating our approach to printing invoices within the back office area as part of the back office process, and this will continue into the next sprint. We've added user group permissions to prevent unauthorized users from being able to authorize or unauthorized placements at both levels. The name change feature has been updated to include an option which will allow you to change the name associated with current and future placements and pending offers. We've added the option to view completed tasks within the tasks area. We've added the option to mark an email as complete within the documents received area and have the option to view or hide completed emails. We've updated the settings when backdating email logging on candidate and contact creation so that the user can set a default preference to the number of days they want to backdate the email log to. This means that you're not prompted to confirm this every time you create a record. And we've updated the link this search to a requirement feature from the candidate search so that users a partial view. We'll now go for a brief demonstration on the key features from this sprint. Okay, so the first point to go through is the view completed tasks option that's been added to the tasks area. This function has been added with the view to allowing you to be able to see the tasks that you have completed against your user account, but also tasks that have been completed by other users as well if you have access to view their tasks. So on selection of view completed tasks, you're given a date range option. By default, it will set the to date as today's date, and it will look to give you last 7 days as a date range. But if you want to, you can obviously adjust that from date to another date option, so that gives us a wider range. If we hit OK there, what it will see is it load through the completed tasks that this user has delivered over the course of that date range. If we extend the size of the table so to show 50 entries, you get a more feel for it. And obviously we have a completed date column that's been added now to the table as well when you're doing this view, so you can obviously sort by completed date. And it just gives you a feel for obviously the tasks undertaken by this user. If you wanted to go back, you've obviously got a back option here for the uncompleted tasks, so what's currently outstanding, and that takes you back. And if we step back to 10, and if we change the user, say, let's change it to another user, and then if we view the complete tasks for that user, say within that same date range, you'll see that obviously you'll see completed tasks for that date range in there, and obviously you can then hit back again just to see the outstanding tasks for that user. So that covers the view completed tasks option that's now been added to tasks. The next point to cover is the completed option that's now been added to the documents received area. So then documents received, obviously it's an access to your inbox, it's a view of all emails that you have within your inbox from the date specified that have attachments to it, with a view to it being a method where you can select that email and parse the attachment or attach it to an existing record in the system. But if you're monitoring a mailbox that has a mass of emails coming through, it can be difficult to keep track of which emails you've processed into the system. So what we've offered is a completed flag here now. So as you're working through these emails one by one, parsing the attachments or attaching them to records, you can now mark them as completed. And essentially what that will mean is from a whenever you're loading the document seed area, they'll just be exempt then from the list. They'll just won't appear. If you want to see completed options, then you can tick that option, and the complete options will appear, but otherwise you can untick and show completed will be unticked by default, and then those emails will just disappear as you're working through them. This is as a flag logged against the actual email that's stored on Office 365. It's not something we've locally hosted, so you can, if you complete emails all the way back in your inbox for many months back, it's going to retain that value and be recorded here. It's not something that we store locally as a complete flag against that email. So that's the completed option added to the documents received area. The next point to go through is the update that's been made with regards to authorizing placements and the fact there are now 2 new user group permissions which grant access to authorizing placements. So within a placement record of the view more option, you have this ability to authorize a placement both level 1 and level 2. Level 1 being a lockdown of all of the fields so that they're non-modifiable for all fields and areas except for the back office area. And level 2 authorization being a complete lockdown of the entire placement, essentially making it ready to be invoiced and processed from the back office perspective. But what we have currently is that any user is essentially able to authorize a placement, which obviously we want to give the means to be able to grant that access to specified users, or have you grant access to that specified users. So within the admin area under user group permissions, if I go to our user group permission here, before you wonder, this user group permissions area, it will be updated in due course so that things are more neatly categorized. Appreciate at the moment it's just a long list of permissions, but yeah, what you'll see here is you've got authorized and unauthorized level 1 placements and authorized and unauthorized level 2 placements. So both are set to full access at the moment, but if you had these set to say no access, at level 1 we're set to no access to level 2 as well. If we refresh this record, what you'll see is that off the view more menu, we don't have access to the authorize option anymore. It's grayed out and we can't authorize there. So if we have access to authorize to level 1 and also to level 2, then obviously we can authorize as necessary. So you can obviously have it set so that certain users can only authorize and unauthorized to level 1 placement level, and then a select group of users can authorize at level 2, namely being the back office users. But you can see now that we've got obviously access to this authorize option now because we've got that permission to full access. So that's the authorization option that's been added to the user group area to give rights to different users to be able to authorize placements. The next point to go through is the default setting that's now been added to the backdating of email logging when you're creating a candidate or contact in the system. So what I mean by when I say that is we added a feature about a month and a half ago when creating a candidate and contact record, so that when you hit save, what you're presented with is this alert, which essentially gives you the ability to specify a date from which you can log all of the email correspondence that you've had from that date to today's date as part of creating the candidate or contact. The feedback that we received is that this as a function was well received, but the fact that this alert appears every time you're creating a candidate or contact was not. So what we've done now is had it so that it's a default setting that you've got within the system in terms of the period in which you are searching against when you're creating and logging those emails. So within the global settings area, and also within going down to a specific user setting level, underneath the candidate segments, you've got the option to backdate login of emails to a set number of days automatically. Prompt will not show, 0 for all emails. So if this option is blank on both global and user setting level, then this will work as it does currently. That's provided that it hasn't been disabled. Obviously, you've got the option to disable backdating of login emails. But if it hasn't been disabled, then it will work as you see it do here. If this field is blank, if you enter in a a number, say 30 days, then this alert will not appear when you're creating a candidate or contact record. Instead, it will just automatically backdate the email correspondence for the last 30 days as part of creating that candidate record or contact record. Or the alternative is that you set this to 0, as it says here, 0 for all emails, and then set it to 0. What they'll then do is as part of creating the candidate or contact record, it will simply record every email that you've ever sent to that candidate or contact, obviously on the basis of these email addresses over the course of indefinitely. So if you do choose 0 as part of creation record, please note, depending on your history with this record, that may mean that this process takes, or the creation of the candidate may take a lot longer to do. But in any case, it's there as an option as well, just as it's available as an option here. If you wanted to just leave blank on the date form, that would essentially mean that it would just log all emails in the system. But that's now available there as a function. So if you wanted to default a set number of days, say for the last 60 days, you want to record the email history when you're creating a candidate or contact, obviously it will then function as you'd expect it to on saving and creating candidates and contacts. So that's the update there. The next point to cover is the update that's been made to the candidate search, specifically when you're linking a requirement to a candidate search result and the way it does that. So if we go into a search result for a candidate search and we go to requirement link, previously when you clicked on this link this search to a requirement option, it would take you to the requirement selection. You'd actually leave the search area, you go over to the requirement selection section, and then you'd pick a requirement, and then it would take you back to the search, which is user flow that we want to try and avoid. It's essentially the idea is to keep you in the area that you are and use partial views to process that lookup. So what we've done here is when you're linking a search to a requirement, if you select that, it will essentially launch a requirement search and keep you on the search area. By default, it will load the requirements that are live that you own associated to you as a sort of default. But if you want to obviously search any other requirement in the system, then obviously you have the means to do that using these options. Select your requirement, hit select, and now that requirement has been linked to the search. So it's far more slicker and quicker as a user flow from that perspective. Then on selection of said candidates, obviously for the requirement link, you've obviously got the means there to longlist and shortlist against that requirement, also go to the linked requirement through that link. So that's the update that's been made in relation to the link search to requirement option of the candidate search. The last point to cover is the update that's been made to the update name feature in relation to updating associated offers and placements in relation to the record. So from the candidate, company and contact record, obviously you have the name option and you have the update name option here. So on selection of update name, the name will come through. You have the ability to obviously change that name then. We'll stick a reason of demo in here and we'll press OK. What we now get, if you have the rights to this area, which we'll come to, then you'll have the ability to update any associated current or future offers and placements with that change of name. And if you hit OK there, then obviously all those associated placements will be updated and offers. What it won't do is update historical placements due to contractual reasons for change of name. But in terms of any future current or future placements and offers, those names will then be changed accordingly with the name change that obviously happens against the candidate record, the company, and obviously the contact as well. So that's the update that's made from a UI side. If we go to a placement record that's going to be affected by that change, just to demonstrate that, then you can see there that the candidate name has been changed, and you can see that the candidate name has been changed. When I say permissions to do that, or the rights to be able to do that, the name field, obviously update name field, will work as normal. This additional option of being able to update offers and placements is on the basis of having rights via a user group permission setting. So if you have full access to do that, as you can see here, you've got rights for candidate name, company name, contact name and company name. If you have full access rights to do that, then that option will appear when you're changing a name. If this is set to no access, then the function would work as it did previously, which is that you can update the candidate name or the company contact name, but it wouldn't affect associated offers or placements based on that name update. So that's the update we've made there. As always, if you have any queries or feedback, please get in touch. I'll be keen to hear from you. Also, for those using Colleague 7, feel free to submit your enhancement requests via the support team or directly to me using the above email address. The next video will be the sprint plan for 19.08.03, and as always, that will contain a high-level overview on the items we intend to work on during that sprint. Thanks for watching.